Okay, yeah, so my name's John. I'm from the inbound study abroad team at Sussex, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview about what it's like to study at Sussex as a visiting student. So our team deal with all the visiting and exchange students who come into Sussex. So if you do decide to apply to Sussex, we'll be working very closely with you during the application stage, and then welcome you to campus once you're here and during your time at Sussex. And then once you leave, we'll deal with all the paperwork and transcripts as well that you need. So, we'll go over our location initially. So we're based on the south coast of England. We're about an hour train journey from London. So we're based in the city of Brighton and Hove. Medium-sized city, population is around about 280,000 at the moment. It's quite nice because it makes it really manageable to walk about and get around, and there's really good public transport. So our campus, which you can see on this video now, is around about 10 minutes from the city centre. And we're actually based in a national park. So we're the only UK university in the country based in a national park. It's called the South-Downs-Nationalpark. So it's around about, I think, 1.5 square kilometres in distance, and it stretches, I think it's around about 140 kilometers from east to west, and there is a trail if you want to walk the whole distance, but it's also really well connected by public transport, so you can get around and see all the different sections. And it's a really good balance between the vibrancy of the city in Brighton and Hove, and then obviously we've got the countryside as well, so it's a good balance if you do want to get away from things. So this map will show you exactly where we are. So as I say, our campus is at Falmer, so we're about 10 minutes away from Brighton and Hove in the city centre. We do have a train station at the campus as well, so you can get a direct train from Falmer to Brighton. And there's also cycle lanes, and it's very well connected with buses as well. In terms of distance from London, we're around about 1 hour's train journey. Again, you can get a direct train from Falmer or Brighton. In terms of airports, the closest airport is Gatwick Airport, which is only about 30 minutes away. So it's really well connected if you do want to explore the rest of the UK or London, which we know is a big appeal for a lot of students as well. It's easy to get there, and the trains run really late at night as well, so it's easy to visit for a day, stay, and then come back to campus. So just a few facts about the university. So we were established in 1962, so we're a relatively young university. We just celebrated our 60th year last year. We're a very international university, so we're home to currently around about 5,000 international students from 145 countries, and the total student population is 18,000. So again, it's quite a medium-sized university, but that allows for a good community feel. Also, about 1/3 of our staff are from overseas as well, so that kind of fits in with the ethos of the university wanting to be a really open and welcoming university. As I said, we're based in the South-Downs-Nationalpark, so you can literally walk from campus straight into that park, especially if you're living on campus as well. In terms of statistics, we're currently first in the world for development studies, which sits within our Global Studies School, and 9th year in a row that we've actually held that ranking. So obviously we're very proud of that, and a lot of students are drawn to that School of Global Studies when they study with us. And we've also got a very good business school and psychology school as well, which are in the top 125 in the world at the moment. So the campus, as I say, we're slightly outside Brighton and Hove, but we've really got everything on campus that you need if you do decide to stay with us on campus. There's 2 sports complexes, so these gyms and all the sports facilities. So we've got football fields, indoor courts, and everything like that. And they're open pretty much from 8 AM till I think 10 PM at night as well. And we've also got on-campus housing. We'll go into the housing options a little bit later on. But yeah, we've got several, I think there's 9 different housing residencies on campus at the moment. And we've also got the Attenborough Centre for Creative Arts, which is, I think it opened about 5 years ago. It was redeveloped. So it's our performing arts studio. So there's a 300-seater auditorium, and there's lots of events going on there, not just produced by the university, but there's also a lot of outside acts that will perform there. So whether that's talks or theatre or dance, there's lots going on there. So it's always good to kind of go along and see what's happening there. And there's also a really nice cafe attached to it as well. We have the Amex Stadium, which is the home of Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club for any football fans. Their home stadium's actually directly opposite our campus, so you can walk to it from our campus. So obviously they're playing all the big teams in the UK. I think they're currently 6th in the league. So yeah, hosting the likes of Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal. I know a lot of our students try and catch a game while they're here. And we said really well connected for the city of Brighton, but also to London as well. You can catch the train either directly from the station at Falmer on campus or from Brighton. So just to tell you a little bit more about the city of Brighton and Hove, it probably gets overshadowed a little bit by London, so we do kind of like to shout about it, but it's quite a unique place in the UK. We're a seaside location, but with the city as well. So a lot of people kind of refer to it on sea. The population is quite young and very diverse. There's actually 2 universities in the town, so it's a really good place to be a student. There's lots of cafes and restaurants and bars. There's a big emphasis on sustainability, so you'll see a lot of vegetarian and vegan options in terms of the food. We're the home to the UK's only Green Member of Parliament, and that kind of fits in with the sustainability aspect and environmental concerns that a lot of people in the city have. In terms of shopping, there's lots of independent shops, so quite unique to the UK and around the world as well. Stuff like vintage clothes shopping, record shops as well. So the students really love to explore those things. Last year it was voted the happiest city in England for students. As I say, there's a lot of appeal for students here, and there's loads of things going on. At the moment, we've got the annual Bright Festival, which is England's largest art festival, and the arts are a really big part of Brighton as well. So that takes place during the month of May. So there's lots of music, theatre, performances going on throughout the month. A lot of them are free as well, so it's really easy to go along. And we also host England's biggest gay pride festival in August, again kind of fitting in with the inclusivity of the population. So that's always a big event. Yeah, and just a few images here of Brighton. So we've got the famous pier, Brighton Hove Albion as well, those cliffs and the South Downs, and just some of the festivals that go on. Oops, I'll just go back to that. Yeah, so just that one in the bottom right about all the festivals. So as well as the Brighton Festival at the moment, there's something called Great Escape, which is a music festival, goes on for a week, which is, I think the bands from all around the world, unsigned bands, perform loads of different venues, which you can go along to. So that's a really good feeling at the moment. Lots of students go and attend those because there's so many kind of great bands that are, yeah, looking to be signed. In terms of the academic programs at Sussex, so we've got 3 different options. We've got the summer school, which takes place June and July and August. So there's 2 module options, both lasting for 3 weeks. So you can either do one or you can stay and do both of them for 6 weeks. So that takes place during the summer. Then we have the option of the semester students. So if you want to stay for an academic semester, you can come either in the autumn, which would be September, till teaching ends in December. Assessments would be in January, but you can leave at the end of teaching, which is usually about mid-December, because assessments for the autumn semester are remote, so online, which gives you the option if you need to be back at your home university early in January. That fits in very well. Or you can come for the spring semester, which starts late January and finishes in June. So the assessment period for spring would be during May. That is in person, so students would stay on campus or at the university for that assessment period. Or if you want to, you can stay for the full year, so come in autumn and incorporate in the autumn and spring semester. With the autumn and spring semester, these are the departments where you can choose what we call modules or classes from. So within these departments, there's over 1,000 different classes that you can choose from, and there's no restrictions on what modules you can take. So if you want to, and your home university, we're fine for you to do this. You could take a class from anthropology, one from law, one from philosophy, and one from sociology. So you don't have to stay in the same department or school. You can basically mix and match however you want to. And a lot of students do take up those options and that flexibility. The modules or classes within those departments as well are at all different levels. So if you don't have a background in, say, art history, but you wanted to try it, there will be introductory modules as part of the options for you. So there'll be year 1, year 2, and year 3. And there's a lot of explanation on our website if you're unsure about what level you should be at. Some modules will require prerequisites, so it's usually in things like life sciences and law, where they may want previous learning. But again, if you don't have that and you did want to try something in there, you could probably take one of the year 1 modules, which would be less restrictive. As we mentioned previously, we've got our business school, which is very popular with students. So it is Equus and Ambrose accredited. It's got a real international feel to it. A lot of international students are part of the business school, mainly because the Equus accreditation does require that international aspect. So business are always keen for our students to go out and explore and experience education in a different country, and as well they're keen to get students into their business school as well. So yeah, that accreditation stands for that, and yeah, it would be really welcoming for students to go to that school. In terms of class requirements, so Sussex credits 45, so you've got the option of taking a minimum of 45 credits and a maximum of 75. Most students will take 60 Sussex credits, which in terms of ECTS would be 30 credits per semester, but you do have the option to go a little bit lower or a little bit higher. The Sussex credits are either 30 credits or 15 credits per class, so you'd usually be taking between 3 and 5 classes per semester. On your application form, when it comes to completing that, you'll see you've got the option to list the classes you want to take on there. You can apply for up to 6. So what you can do, you'll put them in order of preference. So the ones that you want to do first at the top, and work your way down. So if you take your first 3 or 4, if there's any problems, if classes are full or anything like that, we've got a few options to give you as well. Our schools will deal directly with the class allocations, so if there is any problems, once you've been accepted, they'll be in touch with you just to go over any issues, or if you needed to reselect. And they're very accommodating. They'll always give you options as well. So if something's not quite fitting, they'll be able to provide you with a bit of background and maybe some suggestions of alternative classes you could take. And there's also the ad drop period as well. So that's up to the end of week 3 of teaching at the start of each semester. So if you did decide that you wanted to change any of your original choices, you can do so. Obviously, there may be waiting lists, so it's not always that straightforward. But if you wanted to do that, there is the option. And again, you'd work with your school coordinator to go over that. And as we said, there's no restrictions on combinations. So you can choose modules and classes from different schools. When you do come to Sussex, you will be allocated to a specific school. It's more of an administrative process for us, and so we can assign you an academic advisor as well from that school. So we'll base that on where you've selected the most modules from. So if you've selected 3 modules from history, we'll assign you to the school that history sits in, which is Media Arts and Humanities. But that doesn't restrict you from taking a class from a different school, say the School of Psychology. It's just for our purposes, really, and for us to allocate you to school. And it may not make quite sense. If you've chosen like 4 modules from different schools, we will need to allocate you to one. So don't be too concerned if you think, oh, my background isn't in psychology, but I've been allocated to that school. It's fine. It's no problems. In terms of transcripts, as I say, we will produce a transcript once you've completed your studies. So student support, obviously, it's very important that you've got the support while you're at Sussex. So as an exchange or a visiting student, you would be treated as a full undergraduate degree student. So you've got access to all the academic support and anything else you need whilst you're here. This picture here is our new student centre, which opened last year. It's a dedicated space for students. It's open 24 hours a day. You can study or kind of just drop in and get a coffee and relax. But also all our support services are housed here as well. So if you did need to meet with anyone, you could book an appointment to speak to them face-to-face, or they have online options as well if you prefer to do that. So we have things like a skills hub, which provides academic. So although a lot of the learning may be similar to what you experience at your home university, there will be differences. So this is something that can just help you adjust and settle in. There's obviously disability support and adjustments. So if you have any learning support at your home university, we can look to implement that as well at Sussex. In terms of welfare, we have 24-hour counsellors available for any mental health support you need, and again for finance, faith and spirituality matters as well. We've got an excellent buddy scheme system, so this will be students you can link up with before you arrive at Sussex. A lot of them are international students as well, so if you wanted to speak with someone or meet up with someone from your home country, you can do so. So they will match you with someone, a buddy, whilst before you arrive, who can answer any questions before arrival. Then they can meet you once you come to Sussex, show you around, and you can continue that on for as long as you want. If you want to carry it on during your time at Sussex, you can do, or you can just use it as an introduction before you obviously meet other students. But it's really popular with our students and a great way of settling into life at Sussex. Social programs, there's lots of things going on, especially during those first weeks at Sussex. We host our own welcome events and academic talks as well to just get you settled in. But there's lots and lots of things going on, lots of what we call societies, which is small groups that meet up with specific interests. So there's hundreds of these groups, some of them very niche, but it's a great way to, again, to meet students, and they meet up on a weekly basis. And we do have a medical centre on campus as well. and any visa support that you may require. If you just let us know, we can put you in contact with them. So in terms of housing, the options for basically for summer and full year, it's guaranteed on-campus housing. For semester students, we do put on our literature, you'll see on our website that it's not guaranteed for semester students. However, if you are applying through College Contact, you will be in our priority 1 group for housing. So all semester students can apply for housing, but we'll put them in priority groups. I know last year and this year it's looking likely that everyone in that priority group will secure housing on campus. So even though we don't say it's guaranteed, it's very unlikely that you won't secure housing if you did apply through College Contact. There will be, I think, 4 different options at different price points for you to select from in terms of on-campus accommodation. All campus accommodations are self-catered. We've got small supermarkets on campus, but we've obviously got different restaurants and cafes as well, if you don't cook your own food. And then obviously there's supermarkets in Brighton as well. And also if you did want to look at private housing, you can do so if you just let us know. And our housing team have a private housing team that sits within them that can offer you any support or advice that you want to utilise. Entry requirements. So currently our entry requirement is a GPA of 2.8 out of 4, so not that high. In Germany, that's approximate to 2.2. And we've got the English language requirements at an IELTS of 6.0. In terms of application deadlines, we've got the full year 1st of April, and for the semester 1st of April. We are quite flexible on deadlines, especially for semester students where you wouldn't need a student visa to come to Sussex. So even though that deadline's passed, we are still accepting applications now, and we can accept them, I'd say, till around July time. The only thing to bear in mind is that our housing deadline would be the 30th of June. So if you did want to secure that campus house, it's best to get your application into us before the 30th of June, because it's likely that you may require private housing. 31st of May, so there's still some time to get your application in for if you were interested in the summer schools. All the application information is on our web pages. It's quite simple. It's a really simple application form, and we just need some additional documentation. So it'd just be a transcript, copy of passport, and your English language certification. Things like passport, if you didn't have them, an up-to-date passport at the moment, you can always send us that later. It's more the transcript in English language that are the important things. In terms of fees, again, this is where it benefits you by coming through College Contacts. The agreement we've got gives a 20% discount for students applying through that, so it'd be a lot cheaper for you to come to Sussex via College Contact than applying independently. So these are our current fees for 23-24. And so this would just be the tuition fee. So there would be additional for your accommodation, but we could go through the options of that later on. And just to round up, we have a really good website with everything all in one place. So if you want to look at accommodation or module choices or entry requirements, anything like that, the application is all hosted on the Study Abroad at Sussex webpage. So you could just go to the Sussex webpage and put in Study Abroad at Sussex, and it'll take you straight there. If you've got any questions that you think about once this presentation's over, you can email us at inbound.sussexabroad@sussex.ac.uk, and we're always happy to take any questions you've got. And then there's our social media feeds as well. I'd highlight the Instagram one. There's a lot of student content on there. We had some students the other day doing a trip to London, and they documented it for us. So it's a really good way to kind of see the student experience while at Sussex. I'm not sure how much longer we've got, but if anyone did have any questions, I'm happy to take them now, or you can obviously get in contact via the email address.
Hi, John.
Hi.
There is actually a question. Thank you for your presentation. The question is the summer school also for students in their master program? So can master students also participate in the summer schools?
Yeah, summer school is just undergraduate, unfortunately. So, I mean, if they wanted to take undergraduate modules, they could do, but we don't have any master's modules at the moment. Yeah, so yeah, it would just be undergraduate, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, just maybe out of interest, you mentioned a lot of festivals going on in Brighton. I mean, ideally someone would be able to come for the full year, but if you could recommend just the fall or the spring, which one would you recommend to come to Brighton, to come to the University of Sussex?
I think the spring, because it is a slightly longer semester. The autumn one definitely for us feels like it goes really quickly, arriving like late September, and then you could be gone by December. There is stuff happening then, but I think the spring, you've got that benefit of going into the summer, and as I say, the Brighton Festival's just starting at the moment. There's the Great Escape as well, so and hopefully the weather gets a little bit better towards May. Yeah, so I think, yeah, we kind of recommend spring for a bit more of an experience and what it's like. But yeah, if you do need to come during autumn, there's still plenty of things going on. It's just a little bit colder and wetter.
There's one more question. Are there different GPA levels for different study directions? So different probably areas of study?
No, so it's just across the board to that 2.8 GPA. So the only restrictions would be, as I say, if there was any prerequisites for those kind of like life science or law modules, they'll want to see some prior learning in those areas. But as a general, it's 2.8. If anyone was slightly below that 2.8, they can still apply. What we'd need is just a reference from an academic just to support the application. But we can usually still accept them with slightly below the 2.8. So yeah, if you're below that, don't be put off. Still send an application to us and we can look into that for you. But yeah, that it is a general 2.8 for all subject areas.
Okay, good to know. I think there's no more questions for now. Yeah, so thanks again for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. Yeah, thank you for inviting us. Yeah, and I hope there's some good information in there. But yeah, as I say, if anyone thinks of anything, please get in contact with us. Yeah, and we're looking forward to getting some applications and welcoming you to Sussex.
Thank you. Have a nice rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye, John.
Bye.